This is my PS5 and we've been together for 2 years. It's been great. Well, sort of great. We were really stressful together. You made games $70, but it's been great. So happy birthday, and let's look back at 2 years and see what I liked and what I still don't like. Yeah. And if you like the content, guys, please like, share, and subscribe. I am glad we are finally turning the corner in eliminating PS5 shortages. So I think this is the best time to do this video and look back at my experience with the console, because some PS5 Pro or PS5 Ultra is going to be announced in 2023. Now, being an adult and shopping online has taken some of the magic away from getting a new console. The PS5 was particularly stressful. Thank you, pandemic. But the PS5 still drew the hype a regular PlayStation console does, and I paid an annoying extra to scalpers to get it, but I didn't care. I was done with the PS4 in my mind and I had to get the PS5. I love the smell of a brand new console. To begging your parents all year long, doing every single chore imaginable just to get the console, and eventually when you are given the hardware, there's no better feeling. So let's see if it was worth it for me paying that extra $200 to get the PS5 and how my relationship has been with the console for the past 2 years. Look out for 3 things when I'm making a console purchase. Even though those things don't really affect the console I settle with, I don't believe in console words. If I can afford it, I would like to have all current consoles. But there are 3 things that make a console. Let's talk design. So I'm an architect, and here is a shameful plug of some of my designs. I subscribe to the school of minimalism popularized by Van der Rohe of the Bauhaus. Minimalism is simply stripping away unwanted details, which leaves the true essence of any given architectural element. Well, psych, I do not care for minimalism. When it comes to console designs, my policy is the weirder, the better. I loved console designs because every console had this whimsy about them and parents could spot them a mile away. They had these "we are wasting the lives of your children" designs. Now, if you look at the designs from Nintendo and Sega, they always had this whimsy, but this changed when Sony and Microsoft got into the industry. Everything became so conservative, colors went out the window, everything became so monotone. Like, come on, there are other colors besides black and white. I do understand it's an industry-wide thing. Companies are going through a phase of toning down their outlandish designs to be more streamlined and consumer-focused. I think they said it makes them recognizable. I can't wait for when the Windows logo is just lines in tic-tac-toe. Now, forgetting my rant, when my mom saw the PS5, she thought it was a DVD player, and I don't blame her. So I am glad Sony gave the PS5 such a robust redesign. Every console from Sony has always had this square nature to them, and it's boring. I want to plop my console down, and once someone enters my house, they knew that was a console. I love the tower-like nature of the console. It is an arresting design. I even dig it laid flat. The fact we got custom plates a bit too expensive if you ask me, but at least it gives more room for customization. And like I say, this is the first console Sony has put out that I liked the design. I get people already had their media setups and the PS5 was a bit bulky for it, but I will saw off the top of my media center to get it to fit. So the PS5 gets a 4 stars in design. I do think the deep brand tweak was a bit better. Now let's go on to the next thing, the hardware. Let me get the boring things out of the way, guys, and read out the specs. After all, this is not Digital Foundry. PlayStation 5 is powered by blah blah blah, AMD, blah blah blah, 10 teraflops. We get it. Fast travel are faster and no more boring elevator rides that hide loading screens. This is how I see hardware. I'm not into numbers, although I do understand what some of them mean, but what I look for in hardware is what can my shiny new console do that my old beat-up console could not do? That has to be the DualSense. It is a standout feature of the PS5. I don't really care about controllers. I believe nothing tops the 360, and I game on 3 different consoles with different designs and different button layouts. So I see a controller as a glorified TV remote, but the DualSense controller made me care for the very first time. I was so excited that every time someone came to my house, I would put absolute playroom so that I could flex with the new controller. I love the haptic feedback and the physical response to your in-game actions. The adaptive triggers just make me giddy when I pull down a blow string and how it triggers and quakes with every pull. It's absolutely magical to me. I do feel it should be toggleable because I experienced it in Warzone and it was a bit distracting, but in single player games, the control now is phenomenal. I think hardware has tapered in consoles. We don't really see those extreme leaps between generations in terms of graphics. So for that, I'll give the PS5 4 stars in hardware. The controller is absolutely awesome. And let's get down to the most important thing for what we use console for, and that's the games. I feel every console lives and dies on these exclusive games. The launch games from the PS1 up to the PS5 has varied in quality. The PS5 had a strong launch lineup with Demon Souls, Spider-Man, Godfall, and Sackboy. Now we are checking out the PS5 in its entire 2-year cycle. We also need to take into account the pandemic and how it slowed down studios, but the PS5 has had a way stronger launch lineup than the PS4 that gave us knack. Never again. The PS4 launch is no PS2 that has spectacular games like Tekken Tag and SSX, but Sony came out strong. Sony has prioritized story-driven games, which has worked immensely for them during the PS4 cycle, and they have continued this into the PS5. We got exceptional games like Spider-Man, Horizon, and of course, the phenomenal God of War. Sony has built a standard for its first-party studios and they churn out hits after hits. Sony hasn't put out a subpar, big-budget title, and even games like Days Gone, which I feel is criminally underrated and critics just wanted to hate on it. Do you know what? I'm not going to go there. I wanted to go off, but I'll hold myself in. If Sony continues with this steady flow of games, it will take a whole lot more than a 68 billion Activision purchase to catch up. I'd give games on the PS5 a 3. I don't know, maybe a 4. There isn't a definitive next-gen game yet, so let's give it a 4. Now, these are my issues with the PS5. I love Mark Cerny. He keeps leading the charge with innovation at Sony. The guy is practically a rock star. But I have a problem with the way games are shown when you insert them. Why are PS4 games still being available to download? On the Xbox, it knows the best version of the game which is available and the best version which is supposed to be playing on that console. I even get it for physical games, but I don't understand why it still shows this in the digital store. I have been playing the PS4 version of Overwatch 2 for the past 3 weeks. Now, I also have a problem with the SSD. I don't have the additional SSD, so I spend so much time moving games and deleting games. That 825 gig is really small. With how big modern games have gotten, 825 gig is 5 to 6 games tops. Who knows, with the next big Call of Duty, maybe it's just going to be 2 games now. I also have an issue with customization. Themes are still missing on the PS5. I know the console will get features added, but it took so long before it got added to the PS4. I hope we don't have to wait that long before it comes to the PS5. I just want more customizable features, a wallpaper here, something to give your home screen some edge, not just that boring thing. I also think it's high time we have a definitive next-gen game. A game which shows the full extent of the console power. I have seen games like Returnal and the soon-to-be Forspoken as PS5 exclusive, but I want that game. That game that looks so good. This will not run on the PS4. I know the driving force has been the fact that PS5 has been difficult to get and there are a lot of PS4 owners who haven't migrated. But I still feel like a game like Returnal, without the technical edge of quick load times, can still be played on the PS4 with some tweaking of LODs. I feel it's high time the big players like Rockstar come to the console with the help of Sony's prime first-party studios like Naughty Dog, Insomniac, and Sucker Punch, unshackled by the PS4, and go full in and create a true next-gen looking game that utilizes the power of the PS5 to its fullest. I'm talking about a true next-gen game. I can't wait for Spider-Man. Sony just announced that it's going to be a PS5 only title, so I hope Insomniac had built it from the ground up as a PS5 only title, and I believe it's going to look really good. The PS5 was a bit of a weird console for how scarce it was, but it's been great. It's also been the strongest deviation in design since Sony got in the console market, and I am a fan of it. Just give me more chords. I am also the biggest fan of the DualSense controller. I believe Xbox is definitely working on its counter. I've also been impressed with console exclusives like God of War, Ratchet & Clank, Horizon, and also with future titles like Spider-Man and even unannounced titles from their other first-party studios. Can't wait to see what Sucker Punch is working on. I think the storage of the PS5 is way too small and it's lacking a lot of customizable features. Now, like I said at the start of this video, it's been a great 2 years. And thanks for watching, guys. Let me leave you with some blooper reel of my wife trying to capture this footage. It took us 5 hours just to capture a footage of me punching a balloon. Thanks for watching.